Hey sisters! Welcome to Sisters in Christ. I'm Lainey.
I'm Kim.
Things are a little different today. We have a fill-in guest host. This is my mom.
Hi.
It's been a while since we've had an episode. Life has just been busy. New jobs, new schedules. Not exactly sure if we'll get back to our normal schedule, but we will make it work until then. So, we did start a prayer list. I mentioned it on Facebook. So if you guys ever have someone that you need prayers, or even yourself, just go on and comment on one of our videos, podcasts, Facebook. You can message us on Facebook. Just let us know if you or anybody else needs prayer. We do have a list as of right now that we have written down.
We have one young man from Medora. His name is Jalen Spence, and he was in an awful four-wheeler crash. It sounds like he's doing pretty good because they've moved him to a regular room now. My dad is starting chemo a week from Tuesday, where we're adding that to his immunotherapy schedule. So his cancer is spreading now, so we're asking for prayer for that. Lainey's also felt very stressed lately, so she's asked for prayer. And the podcast.
Yes, always keep the podcast and everyone involved in your prayers, because it's quite a bit. It takes a little bit to get it going and running, and it takes a lot of time and efforts, and it's just nice to have some prayers.
School has also started. It's about a month old
Keep
now.
her in your prayers.
So let's all remember the school kids, the bus drivers, the staff.
The moms.
Yes, the moms. Make sure there's plenty of eggs at the grocery store. And then we have some blessings.
Yes.
That we would like to tell everybody about. One of my biggest blessings this week was I was able to keep my house finally straightened somewhat. I have lots of yard sale stuff and wedding things that we're getting ready to give to a friend. So it's still very crowded and very cluttered, but the laundry's caught up and the dishes were done.
My house is still a wreck. We'll keep on that.
And Lainey's car may have sold, so that will help them financially. And then just remember, I forgot to mention some of in our neighborhood we have several children that we're needing to pray for and their families.
Yeah, so if you need added on that list, let us know. When this comes out, there'll be a comment section on that Facebook post too. So just comment if you need anything, and blessings too.
Yeah.
That's just as important as prayers.
And answered prayers.
And answered prayers, yes. Because if you're praying, you want to know that your prayer's been answered.
And I like to keep a prayer journal.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice to go back and you forget things that you prayed for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you pray for, I don't write mine down, and I wish I would. Because you pray for a lot. Some may be selfish prayers though, but write them down.
Well, I hate to say that prayers are selfish, because we are selfish people by nature, and God wants to give us even our deepest desires.
Yeah.
So no prayer is necessarily so selfish. I mean, if you're asking for a brand new car and you don't necessarily need one, that may be different. But if you need a car,
Yeah.
we do have a friend, a mutual friend, that she was in desperate need of a car, and they started praying for just a car to appear, and suddenly someone purchased her a car.
Yeah.
And it was the oddest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it really did happen.
Blessing. So, another thing is, leave us a comment or a message about future video topics that you would like to hear. We have topics in mind, but it's always nice to know if they're going to be relevant to our listeners and watchers. So just let us know if there's anything that you specifically want to hear about, or for us to talk about. We'll either comment back or put it into an episode. This episode is going to be about spiritual gifts. I know you did your research.
Paul talks about the different spiritual gifts in Corinthians when he sends his letter to them. And it says, chapter 12, verse 4, it says there are different kinds of spiritual gifts. And in verse 7, it says that their spiritual gifts are given to each of us so that we can help each other. So it's not something that it's a gift that's given to us personally for just us, but something to help. It's because we're all different parts. We can't all be a pinky. We can't all be an eye. We can't all be a foot.
Mm-hmm.
We all are different parts that work together. And something that caught my attention was where it says, in fact, on verse 22, in fact, some parts of the body that seem the weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. And if you think, if you think about that, because I keep thinking, well, I want this gift, I want that gift, and I did it again this time.
I did too.
This
is my second
why
time
do I
taking this
always
test,
get
and I
the
want something
same gifts? But that must be where he wants me. That's where he sees that I can do the most good.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm just as important as anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I got from it, was that it's a gift that God has given you specifically, even though other people can have that same gift, but he's given it to you based around your personality that he's also given you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I guess you could change your personality, I guess, though. That's a different topic.
You grow. I think you grow. I think
personalities change.
I think sometimes the change in your personality would be the change in your growth and maturity.
Yeah. Unless you
have like a mental illness or traumatic event.
Yeah. Well, some people just get more immature. But then I guess they're not going to worry about what their spiritual gift is either. So we went to take our tests at gifts.churchgrowth.org. There's multiple there's multiple websites that you can go to, but that's just the one we chose.
Because it's what came up first.
Yep. Let's just be honest. There was no reason behind it. But that's the one we got. You can go take it there, or you can go somewhere else and take it wherever.
There's basically 3 categories of your gifts that are the same with any of them, and that's like your miraculous ones that include your apostles and the people that have the gift of tongues or interpretation, healing, and miracles. You have the second one, which is enabling, which means that you make things operational. You give the means to do something. And then the third category would be like team gifts.
I think that's what me and you both got.
Mm-hmm. I got one, my highest one was enabling, and then my next ones were team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the ones that we, on the test that we took, is shepherding, prophecy, teaching, exhortation, evangelism, giving, administration, mercy, and serving. So when you take your test, which we've already taken it, that we didn't want to have to take 108 question tests on camera. That would have been a boring episode. So those are each gift that they listed. I'm sure it's probably different wording with each test, I would say. It may not be
probably
exactly
a little bit, but it boils down to the same categories.
Yeah. So it lists out which, like, it gives you each gift kind, like you actually have each gift, but it's all ranked differently based around the questions you answer and how you answered them. So, do you want to say yours first? You want me to?
You can. Administration, you had said that that wasn't something that you thought you would be, but
No.
remember at the end of the definition of administration, it said that you appear to be organized. However, you're not.
I try. I guess I am in some ways. Like with our financial stuff, I keep all receipts and stuff and organize it in a binder and things like that, but my house isn't organized.
Well, what can you define your two that are the highest?
So I kind of summarized a little bit on some of the definitions of what they gave for my top 3. So I'll go into serving first. It says happy working behind the scenes. Yeah. Like this, talking in front of the camera is not something I ever thought I would do. Or even on, like, in a podcast. I never thought I would ever do something like that. Ever. But I like it. So that's a little different. But I would rather be behind the scenes. For sure. Enjoying manual projects. Which I do like to do DIY things. I don't always succeed at them, but I do like to do them. I've started making a chair. I took like big fuzzy material and was trying to like put it on the chair and reupholster it. That chair's still not finished in my guest bedroom, but I do try. It says I'm loyal, sincere, tolerant, faithful, and devoted.
I would
Which
say that's.
Trevor said that was correct. It's hard to say those things are correct about yourself though, because you don't want to seem conceited.
I think that describes you.
Most people find me easygoing, likable, and inoffensive. Yes. Listen to others without being critical, which I feel like I do that, actually. I try not to be critical of anyone. Unless I'm just, sometimes I fall into that a little bit, of course. I think everyone does. But I try not to. I don't like being in the spotlight and prefer to not express myself publicly. Again, I never thought I would be doing this. But it's definitely something I enjoy. But I wouldn't do it normally. I'm pretty introverted. Quick to respond to needs of myself and others, I guess. Myself,
To others.
but more to others. I find it difficult to say no, and that is really true. If someone needs help, I really do try and help them. It also says to be sure to follow directions from the beginning, not just when all else fails. But if we're gonna build something that, like the cabinets, like the shelving and stuff, I immediately go to the directions. So do you know what that would mean?
No, not really.
Because I feel like I go to the instructions pretty quickly.
It doesn't necessarily mean the instructions
Of manual labor.
It doesn't mean that. It means maybe the instructions.
Of like spiritual needs for others and stuff.
Like,
I guess. And myself.
I'm not real sure.
To be continued on that definition. And then at the end of the section where they're describing things about your spiritual gifts, it says beware of Satan, and then it gives like topics and examples of how Satan could use you and your personality to bring you away from God. And it says can cause pride because of the work you do. I guess that means like you get upset if someone doesn't recognize maybe what you do.
Yeah, it would mean that you're not just, you might get caught up in not just serving.
You're wanting
others.
recognition.
You would, not necessarily even recognition, you would just want even a thank you sometimes.
Yeah, and I do
because-
that. Yeah, it's hard to do something and not, like if someone doesn't say thank you, It just kind of throws you off.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to do it even if they don't appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
He can also make you feel insignificant or cause you to lack concern for people or for spiritual growth. I felt insignificant at times. If I'm doing something, again, I guess that goes with the pride thing. If someone doesn't thank you, you do feel insignificant.
I'm tied for my second place, and one of them is serving.
Mm-hmm.
And I did things before, and someone took the credit for 100% of things that I did.
Mm-hmm. It's like group projects.
And it was, I mean, even within the church.
Mm-hmm.
And it was stressful. It did bother me. And I had to stop and pull back and remember that I wasn't doing it for people to know that I was doing it. I was doing it because it needed to be done. And
that's what people get mad about in school and stuff too, like with group projects, because you're always worried, well, they're not doing what they need to do and I'm doing all the work.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing all the work, it's for you too. I mean, you need the grade.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes along with that too. Another one is impatience. Yes. And lack of knowledge can cause poor quality workmanship. I'm a very impatient person. That is probably my biggest downfall, I guess. I'm very impatient. And I don't even work on it. I don't work on not being impatient. I probably should. So serving was one of yours too?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the second place was, they all three had the same amount. Second and third, and then fourth would have been that.
Huh. Well then, do you want to go into your top one? And then you want me to go ahead and Mercy? Alright, so my second, it's actually tied with my other one. It's tied with serving, and it's mercy or showing mercy. So a few of the examples for that one is say the right thing at the right time. So I don't necessarily feel like I do that all the time, but Trevor said, my husband did. So your personality is like soft-spoken love.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You're like, oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It hurts to scold.
That's her.
I know. And they're talking about my dog.
And
If you don't know.
I remember before when you used to babysit, and I would say, well, did you? Because not everybody believes in corporal punishment, and it's not that it's something that I encourage a whole lot of. But there was a time when they said, well, did you smack him on the butt? And she said, no, I can't do that.
They weren't my kids.
But I don't think she's going to do it to her children either.
I don't know about that. I think that changes when you get your own kids.
No.
Make sure it's still recording. Sorry. I feel like that might change with having kids though.
I don't know.
Because you don't want your kids to be bad people.
Well, and spanking doesn't always work, and I see you choosing other methods first.
Yeah, I mean first, sure.
I see it being the last resort for you.
Yeah. I mean I would do it if I needed to. Like if they were...
And I don't know that you always need to. I think there's other ways.
Yeah. Non-condemning. It kind of goes along with that. Outgoing with a low-key, inoffensive personality. There's that inoffensive word again. I guess I'm not offensive to people.
Yeah.
Which is good. Easy to talk to, peaceable, and agreeable. Which I feel like I am agreeable to people because I don't want to start conflict with people. Conflict isn't going to resolve anything. If you're going to go on Facebook and start trouble with other people because you guys have the different opinions than each other, you're not going to magically make them agree with you.
No.
And so I'm just kind of, you just don't do that. And that, I guess that goes with this. Makes decisions based on feelings. That's true too. Heart goes out to the poor, the aged, the ill, and the underprivileged, which is very true. I worked at the group home for 5 years, taking care of people with mental, physical disabilities and emotional disabilities and all that. I would say that goes along with that. So, sorry if you hear Chloe's tip taps. She's walking around. So one of the warnings is be careful to not let other people use you. I typically let people use me, and I don't really know how to solve that issue. It doesn't give me tips on how to solve that.
Well, I don't know.
Because I assume the best in people. I don't assume that they're gonna be using me. If someone needs something from me, I just don't assume the worst. So, no. Try not to resent others who are not as understanding as you. Yeah, I have seen myself be that way
Get your
too.
feelings hurt easily.
Okay, another thing is people may accuse you of being a softie, a compromiser, or too emotional. I have heard that a lot. And I don't think, too emotional I guess could be bad sometimes, but.
Because you end up wearing your feelings on your shirt sleeve. And you may make your decisions on emotions instead of
Which are okay
factual.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
It says that we make excellent counselors, which I always wanted to go into like psychology and maybe becoming a counselor. So that's kind of neat that was a part of my spiritual gift. But it says, left untrained, you may destroy yourself by your tendency to take people's problems home with you. I definitely took problems from the group home with me, and that was very difficult. That's a lot of the reason why I left too. We were able to afford me leaving. My mental health was not okay for a while, and so kind of stepping back away from that has really, really helped, because that is definitely what I did. I brought it all home. And then again, beware of Satan. It can cause pride because of your ability to relate to others. I didn't really understand that one either. So I'm just prideful, I guess.
Because you feel like you're something special because people really like you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. May influence you to disregard rules or authority. I don't do that. If there's a rule, I stick to it. I don't break rules. I don't think I would break rules.
No.
If there was a rule, you don't go against that.
Well, unless you say that, they don't need to go to school. They've had a rough morning.
That's different. You did that.
You may get it from me.
It says don't fall into Satan's trap of complaining or griping, and I do that. And that's another thing why, with working where I was, and which it was a great job too. I loved the guys and I loved my coworkers, but I definitely griped and complained a lot.
So what would you have to do? You'd have to sit down
It was bad.
and say, but now you've done that a lot, forever. It wasn't just at the group home. That is attendance, and it's just part of your gift to fall into. What a nice gift. But I remember I'd say, okay, say 5 positive things. You hated that.
Yeah, but it was worse.
But it taught you to think that when you when you felt you were slipping.
Hmm. I felt myself slipping. That's honestly when we made the decision for me to not return. That's kind of what we were looking on, was if it's gonna be detrimental to my emotional and mental well-being, just wasn't worth it. But I did like that job too. But it had really good times too. It was a lot of fun. And then what Mercy Showers are good at is counseling and missions, which I've never been on a missions trip, but I've thought it would be okay to try. I've just never have. But I've always wanted to become a counselor, and this is kind of neat that it goes with my spiritual gifts. So those were my top two, and then my third was administration, but that's your top one, isn't it?
Administration,
So I'll let her read that part.
several of mine had 13 and 14. I had 11, 13, 14, and then I had 3 at 15, and then administration was 23.
Yes.
And I am kind of a pen and paper person. The Greek word that is for the administration it means one who steers. Who steers the ship. It's a take charge person, one who jumps in and gives orders when no one is in charge.
That's her.
Organize, planning, goal oriented, well disciplined. I work best under heavy pressure. I'm always under heavy pressure.
Unless it's late at night, and then she just like, I'm going to bed.
I am not a late night person. It is after 11 right now.
It just kind of worked out that way today.
By 9 o'clock, I'm like, where is my blankie? The person that is gifted in administration is usually a perfectionist, but they also want it done their way now. They're usually a good motivator, serious-minded, intense. We're cheerleaders.
You were a drill team.
In 6th grade. You appear to be organized, however, you are not. And my husband, he keeps saying, everybody thinks you're so organized, but you're not. And he is so right.
So now you need to say, well, it's my spiritual gift.
It is my gift to be unorganized. And it's hard. I am really good. If something happens, I remember when my grandpa got really sick and he was lifeline to Louisville, and we came home and we were going to drive down, and my parents went down first, and I knew what to pack. I packed everything that we were going to need. Lainey was a 1.5 years old, and I knew everything to pack for her, and we stayed there for a couple days and didn't have to come home, and because I knew what to take. And I mean, that's pretty organized. When our daughter went into labor and she was scheduled for a C-section, now my first panic thing was to panic, but when it came down time to get ready to go, when we walked out that door, we had everything we needed. And that's how I am, like at ball games and stuff. I have the things that we need.
That is one thing. I was so well prepared when we went to Disney in Florida. I had everything that we would need. Like everyone used everything from what I brought. So maybe I did get that from you.
That's why my purse weighs 27 pounds.
Now, I don't bring a purse if I don't have to.
Yeah.
But
I also
do,
have a bag in the car too, just in case.
Yeah.
But then my second two gifts that go with tying with serving.
Mhm.
The first one was exhortation, and
I had never heard of that.
it means you're the how-to person. You're the encourager person. You serve by motivating others, which is once again my cheerleader. You help Christians become more mature. You're a practical person, a good counselor, tolerant of others, serious-minded, orderly, impulsive, which I am kind of impulsive, but not
really.
impulsive. Expressive in groups and listened to. I have logic over feelings, and I'm orderly.
You are very logic over feelings.
And I do think that, and I do believe that, I think that we do have to think about that. We don't, and I didn't used to be that way. The younger I was, the more I was like, fly by the seat of my pants and lived by my emotions. And a lot happened, as I grew up after I had you.
Yeah.
And I met my husband now, and I think it really changed. He's a real grounded person, and I think that he's this giving person. We complement each other well that way. But he helped me mature a lot, which I had already started maturing by the time I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last one is shepherding, which means it's not as a pastor position, but it's like overseeing and training, caring for the needs of Christians, patient, people-centered. You do time of prayer for others. It's like you're the jack of all, master of one. I am dominant in one, like as an evangelist, a prophet, a teacher, exhorter, which is my second gift above that. Authoritative, leader, not a follower. Composed and sensitive, draws people due to personality. Burden to see others learn. I have a burden to see others learn and grow. Protective of those who are under my care. You're usually a peacemaker or a diplomat, and I think that does
So basically,
describe
you're
me.
a mom.
Yeah, basically everything, it does describe my personality. And I think once you do become a mom, it's like you're constantly either solving something.
Mm-hmm. You're a shepherd.
Yeah, I think that those are the things. And I am a stay-at-home mom again. Mothers are shepherd.
And like with their kids being in activities.
Yeah,
and stuff.
because all of our, when you were younger, you were in a lot of activities, and Malachi was little.
Mm-hmm.
Malachi was under a year old.
I was in like 3 different basketball teams
And then
throughout
you
the
did
year,
volleyball.
and volleyball,
And
softball.
And I would have supper on the table. I remember putting him in his jumping joeys, or what was it? Not jumping joeys.
Yeah.
Jumping, yeah, the little jumper thing in between the kitchen and the front room by the front door, and there was a big basket of basketballs, and he would play with that and then swing into the kitchen. And I remember that's how I got supper ready and on the table when you and your dad got home.
Yeah.
And that was something that was really needed. I'd always had the gift of discernment.
What is that?
And it doesn't list discernment in this particular, but if you'll read the different ones that it says, I think administration, it said that, maybe it was the other one, maybe it was exhortation. You have to, everything had a way to fix it by prayer or by the scripture. And I can kind of read people pretty easily. I usually don't have, sometimes it takes me a little while. There's a few people that can, I keep saying I've been bamboozled a few times here lately. And it really
Throws you for a loop then, because you're usually pretty
I don't,
accurate.
I'm just, but like the discernment, and I don't just make it, I don't ever jump in anymore. I think that happened with maturity.
Yeah. So basically, your gifts can change. I think whatever season you're in,
I think it changes sometimes. I think that, and then also some of those gifts that we're given, we grow in them.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like, my top 3 were serving and mercy, which were tied, and then administration. And then giving is my 4th one, which I definitely agree with that. I like to give to people. That is something that I've always liked to do. And that's how Trevor is too. I'd say that's one of his top ones too. And then teaching, which don't tell Dad, because he really wanted me to finish my teaching degree. But I did like teaching. I didn't go into it because I didn't like it. I loved it. It was like, I didn't want to...
It was the administration part of it.
Well, the school system administration? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't... It's tough. It's a very tough job. But I liked the teaching aspect. Just not the stuff behind the scenes. Then evangelism?
That's the spreading of the word.
I guess I could see that. And then exhortation, prophecy, and then shepherding's my last one. I'm not a mom. I'm a dog mom. But
she's not well shepherded. That's not
whatever. Sometimes she's fine here. She's a wild dog. She is very energetic. She's potty trained at home perfectly. If we go over to their house, she's not. It's like she's completely lost her mind. She's not the same dog over there.
And she's asleep now. Her breed is
wild
and high strung.
And her mom calmed down. So I see a bright future for her. She knows a lot of tricks.
Yeah. She's very smart.
She really is. She knows a lot of tricks. So
But I encourage people to start looking at their spiritual gifts because that's a way to help continue the what God has given us. Yeah. If we don't try to do those gifts, those are gifts. And it's not necessarily a gift that is given forever. I think that God can
use it while you have it.
Yeah, God can. Well, you're not going to use it, then I need it used. It is to further His kingdom. If you're not going to further His kingdom with what He's given you, He may give that to someone else to do it then. And it's not necessarily that you don't ever have it, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's never going to be quite the same. I remember a friend of ours said that she had played the piano when she was doing really good, and she felt like she was led to play the piano, and she drug her feet on it, and she said she struggled ever since. Now she doesn't do it at all now that I'm aware of, but I think that was one of the things that she felt
that's definitely a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can try and learn the piano, but if you don't have that gift, it's really going to be tough, because not everyone just has that musical gift.
Yeah.
I even struggled. I loved playing music, and I mean it was tough for me, and I've played music half my life. So I mean, if God's given you that gift, use it.
But it is very important that we start praying and asking for His will to be carried out through us, because we're not just here for us.
No.
We were created for Him, by Him.
Yeah, because, I mean, look at it like, not everyone gets to have kids.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, like, not especially, I guess. People with PCOS have trouble having kids. Shows how each life is a blessing from God. And don't take your life for granted.
I was looking at the, where I said that we were made for God, that song by Toby Mac, I was made to love you, I was made to find you, I was made just for you, made to adore you.
Mhm.
I was made to love and to be loved by you. You were here before me, and you were waiting on me. And you said you'd keep me, never would you leave me. I was made to love and be loved by you.
I like that song.
That's the song I keep thinking of that purpose,
Yeah.
or purpose.
Go give that song a listen.
It's by Toby Mac, and he's
Love Toby
amazing.
Mac. we got to see him in concert, I guess.
Mhm,
It was
yeah,
kind of a concert.
It was a mini concert.
Wasn't he doing backflips and stuff?
Yeah, he was, and he's my age.
He's
I
a
haven't
good
done any of
entertainer.
that stuff for a long time.
And that's his gift.
Yes,
Like
he's very young.
all those like Christian singers and
He knows.
artists.
I bet he knows some slang that I bet he's fired.
Oh,
He's
gosh.
lit.
Okay. We don't use the term here.
I don't know what they mean. Aren't they cool?
Yes.
They mean that they're cool.
Dumb. Trevor always says dumb lit.
Dumb lit?
I'm like, is that bad? That's like a double negative, right? No. That's a
Dumb good.
yeah, bad good. Bad good.
Bad good, yeah. Bad good.
It's canceling each other out. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Okay. So, to conclude this episode, it just go and take that spiritual gifts test, because it's nice to figure out what it is, and even if you have taken it before, take it again, because they may have changed. I don't remember what mine were the first time.
Mine were similar.
I think mine were different.
But no, it gave different titles.
Yeah. So it may not be the exact words that we used, but I mean, you'll get the gist of it.
And also, you can look up spiritual gifts in 1 Corinthians 12.
Yeah. That's probably where you should look to.
Start there. Start praying.
And just, your gifts will probably change, so use them while you have them. So our verse for today, I'll let you read it, but it's Ephesians 4:7, and she's reading from the NIV translation.
NLT.
NLT? I thought you said NIV.
No, NLT.
I looked up in my NLT to see if it was different. She's reading from the NLT version.
However, he has given each one of us a special gift through the generosity of Christ.
And that's, I mean, he's given you that gift. It's a special gift. So, yeah. Do you want to say anything with that? Alright, a couple reminders. Keep an eye out on Facebook for, as I said before, we are not just for people with PCOS. Our episodes are actually not even about PCOS, really. So, share us with everyone. And I know that men may not want to listen to our episodes or watch our episodes, but share it anyway. Share it with everyone.
Men have spiritual gifts too.
Yes, they need to know. And I know we mentioned our prayer list that we have already. Keep those people in your prayers, and let us know if you have anybody or yourself that need prayers, and just let us know and we'll mention them in the next episode. And we'll continue praying through the week. So, alright. So we hope to see you next time. Keep an eye out. So,
Bye!